It's talk time, and we're ready to roll. My name is Victor Oteri, and this morning we're going to be talking a whole lot about planning, talking about development, and we're trying to see how we can take this to the next level. All right, so this morning we are dissecting the role of geographic information system in national development. And my guest is a specialist. He's a professor of geography and a former vice chancellor. That's Federal University of Technology, Akure. That's FUTA. And he was there for some years in the early 2000s. My guest is no stranger to the microphone. Professor Peter Adeniyi is joining us this morning to take us to the classroom on how all of this will work. It's nice to have you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you.
And you're welcome to Traffic Radio.
I'm very grateful for that.
Great. All right, so Prof, we're going to be talking a whole lot about development, but as a specialist, let's start from there. As a specialist in geographic information system and issues that relates to planning and development, what is the relationship between geography and national development? Let's connect with that first.
Well, geography deals with the spatial information on the earth surfaces. Anything that you see on earth, it has got a location and it has got a space, and the features within the space have locations, and that is why geography is regarded as spatial science. And so when you want to deal with the planning, you are planning a particular area, either a city or a village, or you want to plan the farm, or if it's local government or state, you require information to be able to plan very well.
Right.
And that information comes directly from the use of GIS, which is the computer system that collects, analyzes, stores, and disseminates geographic information for use by different entities to facilitate informed decision making.
All right.
And so without it has four components. I should quickly rush that.
No, we'll come to that. To that. So, without missing words, it means it's very, very relevant to development in Nigeria. That's what you would want to say, right?
Yes.
All right.
Excellent.
And from your assessment, Prof, is Nigeria really anchored or wired on these planning efforts that can bring about this desired development?
I'm not so sure about that, because I think the fourth national plan ended in 1985, and since that time we've not had another national plan. Every government comes in and do a little bit during their own time, but there is nothing that Nigerians are looking forward to, that in the next 5 years X road will be done, or this is where we are going to. There is nothing like that. So citizens are not part of whatever plan that government is actually doing, and that is why in 1982 ILO said something about Nigeria. He said planning in Nigeria is like walking in the bush in the night without a torchlight.
Wow. That was in 1982.
Yeah.
All right, so Prof, I'm going to hold you on there. Let me just take this update. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, this is Afghan man calling from my 12.
All right, from mile 12. Yes, talk to me. What's happening around the Ikorodu Road?
For now, just to report an impediment that occur on the main carriageway at my 12 is what's for now. It has a real tire problem.
What's the impediment? Is it a truck or is it a bus?
Tipper.
Okay. All right.
So the vehicle will be repaired on the road like that.
Okay.
So, but structure much on ground, we have to manage the remaining part of the road for now for the uses of the road users.
Okay. So let me get this very correct now. It's on the main carriageway.
Yeah, on the main carriageway.
Inwards K2.
Inwards Koshofe.
Inwards Koshofe.
Hello?
Right. Inwards Koshofe, right? On the main carriageway.
Yeah.
And is it affecting the flow of traffic at the moment? Those are the rear.
Yeah, it's affecting.
Okay, so it's very slow. Where is the backlog right now?
Backlog now around Owode.
Around Owode, okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you very much. Okay, so you just heard that an impediment cited around mile 12 inwards Koshofe It's a broken down tipper on the main carriageway. It's going to be worked on there, so just some little patience is required. Yes, so Prof, you were talking about what happened. ILO describing Nigeria in terms of planning as one walking in the bush at night without a torchlight. So let's reflect on this. Before that, it means we've had like 3 national development plans?
4.
4. Yeah. When did they start? From the 70s or 60s?
70s. And it stopped around 85.
85.
Yeah.
And what has been the essence of this? I mean, in those years when we had those national development plans, what was the relevance?
Oh, it was very relevant at that time because the citizens were able to look forward to what government is doing. This is how far we can go within this particular period. And those were the days when we were still collecting information. We had topographic maps covering the whole of Nigeria. We have geological information. About that time, they set up the forestry department, collecting information about forestry. Those were the days where you have all these forest plans, forest plantation and all that. And they were being monitored and gathered data.
Right.
And they were able to put those data in on time in order for government to be able to plan and project what will happen within the next 5 years.
Right.
And in those days, you cannot just move in the way we are doing now and start putting buildings elsewhere. You have to do the planning. Government must approve the area where you want to use, and you must obey all the building controls, all the planning controls must be put in before they allow you.
Right.
But these days now, individuals just go anywhere to go and put up buildings without actually obeying anything.
Which is quite unfortunate, Prof. Yeah. So let's talk about the population dynamics then in all of these plans that we just mentioned now. What role or what's the relevance of population in this?
You plan for the people. You must plan with the people. In fact, what we've been doing is planning for the people without the people being involved completely. But it's unfortunate that this is the only nation where we don't even know how many we are. The last census was taken in 2006.
That's right.
And it's supposed to be done every 10 years. Now it has not been done. Even that one too was not accurate. And one is wondering, because if you travel out, you want to go to Toronto, as you are entering Toronto, you will see the population of Toronto. Making it so easy for anybody to plan. I mean, and for each area within that area, you have the population. So if you want to set up a small industry, you will see that you have the population that will be able to use that particular industry.
Right.
There was a time in this country during the military, food was a problem, and they were importing rice, and they will say the rice we are importing will take you for 6 months. I was one of those people who queue to get rice, and within 3 months the rice will finish. Why? Because it's based on wrong information. And that is what has been happening to us. There is no town in Nigeria where you can come out with accurate population. It's a shame. And if all those figures they are showing, last year, Nigeria is 182 million. Now it's 200 million. Where do you get that information?
But it's from the National Population Census. They say, for instance, the current one says we are about 208 million.
That's what I'm saying. If you plan on that, you will fail. Completely, because it's guesstimate. I mean, how many people record birth and death in their villages in such a way that the population commission will be able to use that? We run away from collecting basic information that will have aided planning. And once you don't have the relevant information, then you plan, that plan will fail. And that has been the bane of our development.
Let's come to your area of specialization, which is the Geographic Information System. Prof, let's talk a bit more about it. I know you defined this for us earlier on, but what is it in concrete details now? Break it down for us.
In the past, when you collect information, it's almost on a singular basis. Population information is analyzed on its own. Forest information is analyzed in its own. Number of vehicles in the gala is analyzed on its own. It was difficult for people to put it together. And again, since all the information you deal with are related to location, a particular location in space, then, and within that space, if you take a place, then you will see the rock, the soil, the forest, and then if they put building on it, the buildings, the number of shares in the buildings, the number of beds in the building, and so on, which you can collect individually. But now to make a decision, you need to relate all of these together. In the earlier part, we used to put everything single maps, road maps, population maps, lakes maps, and then we overlay them and we try to see where their relationship ends. But then it was difficult to make a decision because you can want to say, where do I get hospital that deals with COVID-19 activity?
Right.
It may be that is not more than 2 kilometers away from somewhere else. It is difficult to do that manually, but remote sensing, GIS will enable you to do that because its ability to collect, to analyze, to store, and disseminate geographic information for different users makes it very, very easy.
At what point did it come into use, Geographic Information System?
It started by around early 80s. Of course, let's say 1970s, when remote sensing became available. Remote sensing is a process where you collect information from space without touching that particular thing. It collects physical information about an area without touching it by actually recording the emitted radiation or reflected radiation. So, with the quantum of information generated by remote sensing, it becomes necessary now to look for how do we analyze this quantum of information. That is how GIS came to be. And since that time, it has been used by every organization you can think of in this world. Every continent, yes, but every activity, whether it's in agriculture or hydrology or air or aviation or town planning or surveying or engineering or anyone can use GIS.
So let's talk about it. The use of that in Nigeria, for instance. Where are we with that? The GIS technology.
It's very difficult to say this is where we are, simply because data is the fuel that drives GIS. And once you don't have the data, you may not be able to actually use GIS. Let me start by explaining one thing.
Yes.
In the 1970s, we had topographical maps. That is maps that shows, physical things, the hills, the mountains, the forests, the lakes, and so on. But the part of which was done by the British and the Canadian government. But by 1980, they were gone. They were obsolete, and up to this moment, we've not been able to replace them. In spite of the fact that the technology has become really available, making it so easy to be able to make such maps. Now, again, in order to assist the states, the surveyors created a position for them, Surveyor General in each of the states, so that each state will be able to generate such maps. But as of today, I'm very sorry to say that I don't know of any state where they've already got maps showing even the street map, ordinary street map, in all settlements.
At the point, I thought we had that in Lagos.
Yes, Lagos tried. Lagos tried about, when Fashola was there, they did a very high resolution map for Lagos. But the issue is that information that is not made available to the users is not information.
Wow.
In other words, and again, because of the dynamics, things they map at that time, either that were vacant at that time, there were buildings there now.
Right.
Either they didn't have roads at that time, there are now roads.
So things
there.
have changed.
Things have changed, and you have to keep on monitoring and adding, and that is where GIS becomes so flexible and so easy.
So it should have been updated.
Yes. Oh, yes. Updated and make available to the users.
Okay, but let me bring this to your attention, Prof, because when you're traveling around the country now, you can put on your phone and search for the locations of these places. Perhaps I'm traveling to Akure right now. I can just put on my Google and say, well, I'm heading to Akure, give me direction and that kind of thing. Is that a part of GIS?
Of course, that's part of GIS together with GPS.
Okay, with GPS.
But I'm happy that you mentioned that somebody did that. Google.
Okay.
They did that. They collected the information. They are still collecting information on us, and they are making millions on that.
So we are not doing it indigenously. That's what you're saying.
They even use us to even collect those informations. As I speak to you now, in Kano, the richest man on earth.
Okay, in Africa.
No.
Okay.
In the world.
Okay,
Bill Gates, yeah. Oh, he has a lot. I mean, one of my former students is working for him in Kano, collecting information and so on, and putting all of that together. Kind of diseases, where they get it, how frequent, and so on and so forth, which we ought to be getting
for ourselves.
Okay, look at this COVID now. I know my son is monitoring it and is using GIS to locate, the local government where you have the highest confirmed cases,
right,
and all that, which will help decision making in trying to say, okay, where should we put another testing station, lab or something like that. You don't have to say, oh, it's going to be my area. Because if they've got one or two there, it is going to be less used there. So that is why I don't think our institutions are supported
enough
for them to be able to explore the capabilities of GIS for the benefit of Nigeria.
So you're saying that we have all it takes to really build our own indigenous GIS system that will be very, very functional?
No, it's the institution to use, the people.
Okay.
One component of GIS is people. You have hardware, the computer can be there, the software can be there, but if you don't get the people plays two roles. They must collect the data, and they must operate the software, and they must operate the hardware.
Right.
So, but when the people are not empowered to do that, we make budget and say, oh, we are buying X number of computers.
Right.
Computer will not do the work. We are buying software will not do the work. We need the human mind properly trained and supported to be able to do it. But our system does not really allow that. And so the civil the civil servants,
right,
yes, they have to restructure. They have to place emphasis on what is important.
Right.
Research is new in Nigeria completely.
Okay, we're going to come to that. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. This morning, we're dissecting the role of Geographic Information System in nation building or perhaps national development, and taking us to the classroom is a professor of geography with specialist interest in GIS, which is Geographic Information System, Professor Peter Adeniyi, former Vice Chancellor of FUTA. He is guesting this morning and providing the much needed resource needed for us to really understand how it all works. Very, very soon, I'll allow you to join the conversation as well. But do not forget, if you're navigating through Ikorodu Road, precisely mile 12 inwards Kochofe, watch out for a broken down tipper at that location. Is worked on right there, so we're hoping that can be sorted out as soon as possible so that you can have it free. Those of you at the rear coming in from Owode are having it pretty slow as a result of that. Other locations still looking very, very cool and calm. All right, so Prof, let's look at this now. You've said it, most of the states and even the country were not taking full advantage of what GIS presents. But let's take it much further. Like you said now, can we use GIS, for instance, to solve health problems?
Sure.
We can?
Yeah, we can. Oh, very well.
In what way?
In so many ways. There are certain areas which breed particular diseases, where certain diseases are more prevalent. And then there are certain environments that encourage that to happen. With the use of GIS, you can map those areas out in a manner that will make the solution easier. What is happening in the hospitals now? We need to know exactly what kind of diseases are more prevalent in one local government area or in one area than the other.
Okay.
In such a way that, or let me put it the other way around. Hospitals are everywhere, but there are certain areas where they have to travel X number of kilometers before they get to hospitals. Then you can use GIS to say to query which area of this local government is a hospital more than 1 kilometer away from the existing ones.
Okay.
You will map them out, and that will assist government to know, okay, that is the area which we put
the next facility.
The next facilities.
Okay.
Then, in terms of the diseases itself, you can map the diseases that are available, that are prevalent in an area, and then try to figure out how to deal with it by way of actually maybe they need to put a special hospital in an area that has such diseases.
All right.
There are so many ways by which it could be used.
Okay.
And the medical people are using it. In fact, right now, if we Google, they can tell you where a particular hospital is, and if you mention the disease, they can tell you exactly the location where you can get the pharmacy that is dealing with that disease. And that disease, or that will give you the drug, so that right from your place you don't have to be jumping into a taxi and start running, but because of GIS has made it easier,
right.
You can even talk to your doctor. Your doctor can look at you, using other technology together with GIS,
right.
And then direct you to a particular location, a particular pharmacy where you must go and get the drug.
So is GIS very expensive?
No, it's not as expensive as people might think. The only thing that is expensive there is the training of the people, because gadgets are not that expensive. Of course, they keep on, keep on improving, and so you must be able to change some of the hardware,
right.
And the software. But I can tell you, I've worked with some Nigerians. They are very, very, very good. They are fast learners.
Right.
And they are very good, but they lack the support.
So, if it's not very expensive, how come we have not been able to really put it into maximum use across the country? You said it now. Most of the states. Let's even look at it first. Most of the states that we have, apart from Lagos, that we had digital mapping at a point in time. Which other states is showing interest in that area?
I know, but by contract, I know that the state next to Abuja, what is that state now? Nasarawa. Yeah. I know they are doing land, they are doing mapping the land there, and they are using GIS, but it's through a contractor.
Okay.
Rufai is doing the same thing
in
Kaduna again is by contractor.
Okay.
There are a few other places, but
but even it's by contractor, that means but it's the state that is giving out this contract, right?
Yes. To me, it's not sustainable. When let's say when Rufai leaves,
what happens? Okay.
And they may not have trained sufficient people, or they may not get the support of the incoming government. In other words, we don't have shared values. We don't have shared vision that is shared with them, and that is where I talk about the issue of planning. When you have shared vision and you plan towards that, whether one government goes, another comes, that vision is maintained is the vision that is developed by the people,
right?
Not just an incoming government. An incoming government is just one of them trying to implement what the people say they want. How many of them do carry out needs assessment?
Right, quite unfortunate. All right, but before we begin to hear from people out there now, Prof, space technology is very, very relevant in today's world, especially most nations are doing competitions as related to that. How would you assess our own drive towards attaining some levels of independence as relates to space technology?
Well, we are trying. I don't want to sound very negative on all issues, but because I participated at the beginning, I participated at the time when they were making the policy on space activity, and but like all other things in Nigeria, we quickly derail, and the way we derail is very simple. Everything was designed for us by outsiders at that time. Even the satellite we had at that time was done in Zurich, England. It was not here.
Okay.
And when development comes from outside, it is always very difficult for you to absorb nitty-gritty of it. Then we politicize the space technology in Nigeria in such a way that round peg is put in a square hole, and making it very difficult to drive. For example,
right.
I was the chairman of the committee that recommended setting up of National Remote Sensing Center, I think in Jos.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether Nigerians know about the existence, and yet the at that time, the point was that, okay, you train so many Nigerians, this center will train so many Nigerians, and Nigerians will be able to use it in different ways, in transportation, in agriculture,
right.
in forestry, in urban planning, in water resources management. But you hardly hear anything about National Remote Sensing Center.
Exactly. Even though that you're mentioning it on the program now, I don't think I've come across it before now.
That is the problem we have in the country.
So it has gone moribund, so to say.
So, well, almost. And even our space center too. I don't know. I don't know whether any Nigerians have actually requested for satellite image from them, and yet I stay here. I get students who be requiring from France space technology, high resolution satellite from Europe, from North America.
They send it to you?
Of course, you can get it to buy, and then but in our own, the resolution of our product is at 32 I think 32 meters.
Well, what does that mean?
That is anything that is smaller than 32 by 32 square meters, you can't see it. Even if you see it, it will be like a dot.
Okay. So it's not, there's no accuracy.
No, it's accurate. Right. It's accurate at that level. Because if you are looking for something is about 20 meter by 20 meter, you are not likely to see it. Okay. It will have meshed with the other things.
Right.
But then it is still very, very useful. Very, very useful. For example, climate change, you can use it because climate works on a very large scale. Yeah, right. You can use it for that. You can use it for forest monitoring. You can use it for forest fire monitoring. You can use it for flood. In fact, they can use it for prediction. When things will happen and so on. I know they are working with Met too in that area.
Right.
Yeah.
So how come? I mean, for instance, we're having lots of crises these days. In recent time, we've had lots of things, insurgency, the herdsmen crisis. Couldn't we, or can't we use space technology to eradicate this? Armed banditry. For instance, today we have places like Katsina, we have places like Borno, which has been overtaken by armed bandits and all of that. Can't we use space technology to solve these problems?
We can, very well. But even if we are starting late now, we can. Because you need detailed information about each area, which space technology makes easier now. Like I started by saying that the maps, With digital maps now, not hard maps. Digital maps you can produce overnight. Even if you look at Google Maps, you talk about, you can see everything there. But a state or the federal government must have it in front of them in such a way that you click a button. If they say something elsewhere in Castina, right in front of you, you click that area, and then because you have satellite moving continuously, you can see it on your screen. What is happening there? The military. I mean, when I was in Unilag, also I offered training in remote sensing to the military. Yes, because it's very fundamental to them. But because in this country, anything dealing with data, anything dealing with research is relegated to the background.
It's not well funded. Is that what you're saying?
Not well funded. In fact, at times not completely recognized.
Just 1 second. Let's take this update. Hello there.
Victor, good morning.
Good morning, Kenny. How are you doing?
I'm okay, and you?
Very good too. So talk to me. Mile 2 corridor. What's happening there?
Well, I confirmed that we have it very good within the corridor of Mile 2.
Okay.
Along our Lagos-Badagry Expressway from Abula to Houston, connecting Suru Alaba on the service land, the next carriage is very good. The return journey also good from Alaba through Mile 2, connecting Abula to Houston on the service land, the main carriage. Apapa also the express is also looking good from Ejesha, connecting Trinity on the service lane and the main carriage. The return journey also go from Trinity back to Ejesha on the service lane and on the main carriage. The length and breadth of Apple roundabout are looking very good, and synergy in and out of Dover Junction very good. That's the cover situation for now.
And what about the weather, Kenny?
It's cloudy.
It's cloudy. So
Only drizzling, yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great. All right. So that's what's happening around the Mile 2 corridor, and of course, like he says, still looking good at the moment. No worries at all. All right. So it's time for us to expand the conversation more beyond the studios now. The prof has been talking a whole lot about what we can use GIS, that's Geographic Information System, for, and how we can use that as part of our national development strategy. So what do you make of it? And how do you think we can really make this much better? He's talking about so many things that we can do with GIS. But what's your thinking? Talk to me this morning. 0809 912 0777. Okay, that's 0809 912 0777. That's the numbers that you can connect with us. I'm still waiting for the last update from the Mile 2 corridor. I hope that tipper has been worked on. It's really causing some slowness for those of you at the rear at Owode. You're having it pretty slow coming into Mile 12, and that's because there's a broken down tipper on the main carriageway. Hello there, good morning. All right, we lost that call. Please turn down the volume of your radio by the time you get through so that we can have a very, very good conversation. I have Professor Peter Adeniyi, former Vice Chancellor of FUTA, here with us, but he's a specialist in Geographic Information System, and we're trying to really, really dissect its role in national building. Hello there, good morning.
Hello, good morning. My name is Sheung.
Sheung, how are you doing?
I'm good.
All right, where's your location right now, Sheung?
Huh?
Where is your location right now?
All right, my location is at Acme.
Acme, all right. Go ahead, what's your contribution?
All right, I just want to give you an update. There's a minute bus that fell into the gutter some minutes ago, and it's causing slow for moving traffic.
Where is that?
Acme bus stop.
Okay, so the bus fell into the drainage there at Acme.
Yes, and it's causing slow for moving traffic.
Okay, all right. We'll try and send that to our traffic monitors then. All right, thank you so much. All right, a fallen truck into the drain, he says, at Acme, causing some slowness for traffic movement within that particular location. All right, but we're talking Geographic Information System this morning. What's your concern? What's your thoughts? What do you make of what the prof has said so far so good on the program this morning? Share your thoughts with us on 0809 912 0777. That's the numbers that you can connect with us, or perhaps there are areas of concern that you want the prof to attend to as well feel free to join the conversation this morning. You can also send that on our Facebook page because we're streaming live on it, Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. And of course, also, you can send it via WhatsApp as well. All right, Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Talk Time is the program, and it's time for us to have the conversation much beyond the studios. But if you're wondering who I have in the studio, he's a professor of geography with specialist interest in geographic information system, Professor Peter Adeniyi, former Vice Chancellor, University, that's Federal University of Technology, Akure, FUTA. Okay, so you can join the conversation as well, 0809 9120777. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Victor.
All right, good morning. Who am I speaking with?
It's Adeniyi of Amateur.
All right, Chief of Google, it's nice to have you. Go ahead.
Yes, I've been thinking, I wanted to call you and discuss this thing with you before, that I normally listen to radio traffic, and there's also a place you refer to as control room, where you gather your information on the traffic situation within the city.
Right.
So is it not possible through your guest there, if you can use the GIS, because I'm just coming in, tuning into the radio, I don't know where he started, but I have him mentioning GIS. Is it not possible we use GIS in your stations there, so that you will know you have the information instead of depending on the control room to feed you information? Let that be CCTV camera that will show all the streets, the major highways on the traffic situation, so that it will be on the spot reporting of the present situation.
Very good.
You get me right?
I get you. All right. Thank you so much. I'm just going to respond to that. The use of GIS for traffic management, traffic information. All right. I'm sure that my guests will respond to it. But let's see if we can still get more feeds from you in terms of your concerns and the relevance of the geographic information system, especially in this time and age. What's your thinking about that? 0809 9120777. Have we been able to deploy it and make maximum use of it? Now, Prof has said something. Data drives GIS, but do we have enough data that can support that? But Prof, let's get back to that then before we take the next calls. He is talking about traffic management and, of course, the information that we generate via the station. Can we make use of GIS?
Yeah, you can use GIS. And in fact, I have an expert who can discuss that more than I do, because he's an expert in using GIS for transport management.
You mean it?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you call Professor Omojola,
okay,
University of Lagos, and Professor Iyola Uni, the two of them will
they are specialists in that.
But I want to react to what the caller mentioned. In any event, yes, GIS is very important, but you still need the human element. What you are doing here, GIS can provide you the data, but you will have to respond. A human being will have to respond to the people there. GIS by itself cannot make that information available. So that is why there is element of communication in it. And that communication aspect is that, yes, as they were there, you can sit down here and see where GIS is important. Right. That you can sit down here together with remote sensing and see what is going around, in the everywhere. But then you have to now contact the people there that this is where something is happening here, and to put those people who will not have access to television and so on, but they will listen to radio. You have to make them hear what is going on there.
Let's take it much beyond that, Prof. For instance, when Osama bin Laden was to be taken out by the Americans, they gave a detailed plan of how it happened, where they took off from, and how the whole thing was executed. The building he was, how they landed there and did that. I'm sure that is it. Can't we do that with this Boko Haram thing?
we can do that, but that is using remote sensing. But once you have the technology, our own space aspect is not as detailed because you use high resolution. But then let me quickly add that there is drone now that carries camera, but of course, if you are going to difficult territory, you may not be able to. But within Nigeria, we should be able to do that. We have drones with digital camera. That can be supplied the military that information, even their movement, and then added that to use international space information, that is by satellite, and combine it with that so that they can actually know the movement. But of course, I keep on saying, human element, whatever is happening up there, it is not that we don't have the technology, but I'm not sure we have the mind. We have the
political will.
Political will is partly there, but in any decision, implementation depends upon people. And if those people are not well supported in terms of all they require to do that job, they will still not be able to do that. And then when the people you are even doing it for, they don't trust you that is what you are trying to do for them. Because I couldn't believe that at this age that a whole settlement will be taken. It is after it has been taken that we will then begin to hear, and we have to go there physically to see it. No. The technology has gone beyond that. As they are moving towards that, they should be able to see it right from their own lab. They should be seeing the movement of that.
As these insurgents are, making incursions into the cities and other places, we should be able to see it.
Yes. Yes. And again, we need seriously to disabuse the minds of people. Our educational system is in bad shape, and it will take us about 10-20 years to change the mindset. I mean, how would somebody take a gun, go to a village where he doesn't know anybody, and they gather them and start shooting them? What for? What is in the mind of that? What I don't understand.
It's very bad. All right, but let's see. We can still take some more calls before we wrap up the program this morning. 0809-912-0777. Professor of Geography. Specifically, we're looking at Geographic Information System and its use for nation building. That's what our guest is taking us through this morning. He's Professor Peter Adeniyi, former Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Technology, Akure. Okay, the last report, mile 12, do not forget there's still an impediment on the main carriageway. The tipper there, which broke down, they're working on it. Let's see if that has been taken off, and then we can take that to the next level. Also, Papa Oshodi Expressway, mile 2 corridor, still very good. From the report we got from Kenny, same can be said for Lagos Badagry Expressway as well. All right, so Prof, let's take this call first. Hello there, good morning.
Hello, Victor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Ifeanyi.
Ifeanyi, where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm right at Ikeja right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I might from what I'm putting at the studio right now. But I just want to call the attention of the traffic radio to a portion at the Ikeja level crossing immediately after Ikeja long.
Okay, the level crossing there, right? Yeah. It's very, very bad. It's very, very bad. We've talked about it.
I just want to.
Yes. No, we're taking it of that. We've sent it to the railway authorities. It's terribly bad. All right. Thank you very much. Ifeanyi.
Yes, I started by joining from the Yanopaya.
Okay.
So all the way from the Yanopaya down to Ikeja.
It's very, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much, Ifeanyi, for that one. All right. So, Prof, when are we envisaging the first man that will be out in space, or perhaps that can go to the moon from Nigeria? Are we thinking in that direction?
I don't know whether that's the direction we should be thinking until we are firmly on ground.
Okay.
Until we solve the problem problem that Nigeria is facing at the moment.
Okay.
Thinking about that would be a waste of resources.
It'd be a white elephant.
Yeah, well, yes.
Okay.
In fact, there's no need for that.
Right.
We must go back to the issue of planning. We must have national plan. We must have state plan, and local government must have plan for a period of time, and their people must contribute to this plan.
Okay, it's something that should be taken around.
Yes.
So if Lagos is going to come up with a plan, for instance, they must take it around the divisions to say, this is the plan for the next 10 years.
Yes, and that is what will make the citizen to appreciate and willing to contribute to the plan. And if any leader should come midway to want to distort that plan, they will resist it. But right now, we just wake up one morning and we hear government is going to do this. Another one comes another day, and this government will do this.
Right.
And so these things that are disjointed in nature does not make for progress. What we see in Nigeria is growth without development.
All right, then. It's quite unfortunate that we're going through that direction. But, Prof, I must say a very big thank you to you this morning for coming to educate us on the best ways of maximizing geographic information system. Quickly, your parting thoughts to our listeners this morning?
Let them be hopeful. Let them be willing to contribute. If you are living in any community, please contribute. Come out, share your ideas. Don't leave government alone to it. We are part of government. In fact, we are government.
All right, then. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so I've been speaking with Professor Peter Adeniyi. He's a professor of geography, specialist interest in geographic information system. And this morning, we've tried in our own little way to dissect the role of GIS in nation building. All right.